So I promised local election results, and here they are. Now, at this moment in time, there are still a few regional mayoralties to sort of go over. There's the London Assembly and the mayoral election to come in as well. And I think most of the results now are going to be between about 12 and I think 3 o'clock that we get. But to be honest, it has painted a very, very, very clear picture. Overall, we have essentially seen what could happen if a general election were to be called. And I know I've made a big thing about getting Ben Houchen elected and making sure that sort of he's removed from office. Well, unfortunately, as we'll see in a moment, he managed to retain his seat. But there are, I must stress, there are a lot of key indicators about that whole Teesside race, which does not spell very, very good indicators, not only for the future of Ben Houchen, but of course for a whole lot of rest of the Conservatives as well. And one of the other mayoralties that we are waiting for as well is, of course, the West Midlands with Andy Street. That is, I think he is somewhere in there this afternoon as well. I can't remember the time for his results when that gets announced. But I think the Andy Street one is going to be a lot closer than Ben Houchen's. I think when we've looked at the polls, when we've looked at the scene list, I think it's going to be very, very close. And once again, the Conservatives will be like, oh my God, we managed to save two of our regional mayors. Meanwhile, look at the swing. Look at the swing. Because as we'll see in the moment, this swing has gone with the national polls about voting intentions, about what people said. It's picked exactly along those lines. And oh boy, put it this way, if that swing got replicated in the general election, pretty much all the seats in Ben Houchen's mayoralty that are Conservative would change to Labour. And I will tell you this, Ben Houchen has had a lot of defence from local Conservative MPs who have covered heavily for some of the actions, some of the stuff that have gone Teesside. Not so much if they all of a sudden switch to Labour. But again, we'll be talking about that in a minute. I just want to show you what the larger picture really is. But before we do get to that and discussing more about that, of course, please do remember to click on the like, the share, the subscribe button. Remember to click on the, check out the Patreon page down below. There's the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee. The YouTube thank you button also as well that you can use. The Pony Club as well. I think we've covered everything. But anyway, go check those out as well. Remember to leave a like, remember to leave a comment, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And of course, as always, thank you very much to everyone who does help support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button. It all helps. So let's go on over to, hang on, is this better? No, I'm a bit too big on that one. Tell you what, we'll go to this one. Oh, no. There we go. Better this way. So here we are. So this is some of what we have at the moment. This is the councillor change. So far, as you can see here, currently at the moment, I think, where is it? There was a counter that says how many councils to go. I think there's not that many. I think there's only like 7 or so. I think it's on the BBC website, actually. Let me just check that because it's so, yeah. So we are at the time of doing this. 102 councils have got in their vote versus the 107 councils at the moment. This hasn't been updated. Hang on, let me just check because this is actually, is this correct? It's not. That's annoying when the BBC website and the other website says something different. Yeah, that's annoying. Oh well, never mind. We'll go with the Guardian because there's a lot of other stuff I want to show on that. But yeah. But yeah, they can see the Conservatives here They've shed over 371 councillors. That leaves them now, especially from where they were defending, with about 468. They've lost over 300. Labour have gained over 204, leaving them with by far the largest share of councillors from this particular local election. Lib Dems have gone up by 92 with over 500. Greens have got 85 with 158. And of course, the other independents, they've lost over 5 different candidates, but that does leave them at least 265 others. And that can be various independents, different smaller parties, etc. That could go on here. So, as you can see, shedding that is not a good look for Rishi Sunak, regardless of how Rishi Sunak wants to try and spin it. Yeah, this has not been a good night. These are not good results. It's just unfortunate that the Tory rebels have decided to go all quiet for the night, which is kind of weird because this is the kind of thing that they were saying that we would rebel over if it happened, and it has happened, and yet no rebellion. So, unfortunately, all talk and no bite, which is quite a shame. But there you go. Anyway, what about council change? So, overall, the Conservatives have lost control of 10 different councils. But these are the holds that they've managed to have. But these are the big ones that happened. Labour gaining 8 new councils in overall control. Ardour, that's one. Nuneaton and Bedworth, again, going from Conservative to Labour. Redditch, going over from Conservative to Labour. Rushmore, also going from Conservative to Labour. But also, you've got here Dorset, going from Conservative to Lib Dem. And then you've also got where no overall control has been changed. Here, Conservatives losing control of Basildon, Dudley, Gloucestershire, Havant, North East Lincolnshire, losing control, losing those councillors and losing those councils. Big, big blow, certainly to the Conservatives losing control over these councils. So, once again, not a very good night for Rishi Sunak. And then these are ones where they're talking about council of interest. What is the percentage vote? Which overall control? How much of those percent of the councillors gave the overall control here? First of all, everyone was looking at Hartlepool. Hartlepool was like the big indicator, biggest win for Boris Johnson during the. Hang on, can we go to this one? There we go. I can see it a bit better then. Easily the biggest control. Labour are now overall in control of 66.7% of their control. Conservatives dropping, almost matching now with independents. This honestly is a fantastic sign because this gives a lot of hope that we can now retake the Red War. And that is very, very much repeated. Either Labour gaining in seats, while the Conservatives line just went down even more. So Redditch, as you can see there, massive change from Conservative majority to a Labour control, but also these parties here. Where have Labour gained? Very important in those heartlands, and of course, as you can see, barely any blue dots here in this one. And obviously, especially for the Lib Dems here, really gaining in the areas they want to target at the upcoming general election as well. Also, worth pointing out here, the Greens sort of taking a good chunk of seats in Hastings. That was easily, I think, their most biggest area. I think they won particularly that night. Oh no, Bristol gaining 10 seats. But again, no overall control. And here's the thing. The Greens have always gone on about how fantastic is that Brighton, and we talked about this. Josh talked about this very briefly. That there's this conception that that Brighton is sort of a green control council. It's not. It's not overall control. Yes, they've got a lot of green councillors, but they've never really managed to gain overall control, and that seems to be the now continuing story going on in Bristol. Will this actually translate into a MP victory? Well, if you look at the polls and everything else, every single poll so far has said that they changed from having Caroline Lucas in 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 Brighton. I forgot about so too many towns with bees in this country. Too many towns with bees. Um, they go from Brighton over to sort of Bristol. Um, and again, you are talking to wildly different sort of strongholds that are sort of held there in that relativity. They didn't really gain overall control. You'll notice once again, even though the Greens sort of have a sort of a history in Sheffield of winning and almost gaining a lot of seats. You had Majid, the Green Conservative mayor that made a lot of waves back then. They don't really talk about Sheffield a lot. They don't really talk about Sheffield a lot because, well, that's because there's numerous reasons going on for that. Maybe we should talk about it at some point in the future. Because honestly, there's a lot of stuff that I would say to suggest that the trajectory of the Greens in Bristol could very well go the same way as the Greens went in Sheffield, which would be not too good for them. But anyway, that's the local sort of results. They've got more here. Here, oh look, there's my there's my hometown here. So again, no surprise here for anyone. Labour have maintained overall control, um, winning over 17 different seats. Liberal Democrats managed to take a seat from the Conservatives. Again, that's pretty good. So overall, good results here in my hometown. So hey, very good indeed. And of course, Reform not gaining or losing, well, not losing any seats either, but those went up this time, unfortunately. Less me. Ah, but on to, as we said, these new mayoralities that have come in. One thing that has been very, very clear so far, all these new mayoralities have gone to Labour. So East Midlands goes to Labour with over 40%. Northeast with Labour on 41%. York and North Yorkshire, 35%. Although one thing you will note, turnout. Turnout on these local mayoral elections has been dire, absolutely dire. 30% for Ben Houchins if more people had gotten out to vote. And bear in mind, 81,000 votes for Ben Houchin. So it's not that people didn't get out and vote, it's that only 30% of people in that constituency went out to vote. Once again, just going to show you the really depressing apathy that has gone on for these. Unfortunately, yet we do not know what the turnout for local councils is yet. Like I say, we'll probably get that next week at some point, what the turnout was. But this is not good that people are not turning out for local, mayoral regional elections, like 29.8, 27.5. That's really bad. And again, you've got a lot of votes. That is a lot of votes for this in the East Midlands. It's a new mayoral candidacy, over 181,000 votes. You know, people turning out to vote. But that's only 27% of the who are in that population actually turned out to vote. All I'm going to say is, people really need to pay attention and sort of get out and vote in these, because if you would get out and vote, there's a lot of things that could have definitely changed. I think if a lot of people had more turnout, if you had a higher turnout, this could have significantly changed. I think this would not have been the story of tonight. I think Ben Houchin would have lost, but like I say, 30.6% for the turnout for Tees Valley. Yeah, a lot of people by looks there went out and voted, but again, only 30% in Tees Valley went out and voted. Um, what can you say? But anyway, the news really of the night, of course, so far, or at least their bright spot is, oh my god, we managed to hold on to here in the Tees Valley with Ben Houchin. But of course, Ben Houchen dropping from over 70% to 53%. And of course, Labour at 41%. That in itself is a significant swing. That is over a 26% swing, I believe it is, towards Labour. If that got replicated in a general election, there are a lot of Tories suddenly in trouble off the back of that swing. That is certainly something many Tories are worrying about. Some are acknowledging that is a problem, even admitting that there are no more safe seats. So, hey, roll on a general election where we have, higher turnouts. You roughly see 60% turnouts in regional seats, in sort of MP voting seats. So we will see higher turnouts, which will be good. So, really, once again, the story always is go out and vote, people. These local mayoral stuff are important. Regional mayors do have a lot of power. They can influence a lot of stuff. I think just people just don't understand, as we were talking with Josh a couple of weeks ago. So much people's lack of misinformation. They do not know what a regional mayor does for them, what the powers a regional mayor have. So there is a lot of stuff that does really, really need to be done on this fact. So yeah, very, very interesting indeed. But we'll see what happens going forward. But it has not been a good night for the Conservatives, has not been a good night for Rishi Sunak. I think this is going to increase the momentum for a general election. We are seeing now that happen. And it's just how inescapable does this now become? But the only person who unfortunately knows that is Rishi Sunak. And so far, he's keeping quite stum about it. So until we get that, who knows? But ultimately, these results are incredibly good for Labour. It has been a very good night for them. Been a good night probably for the other parties, gaining, of course, and taking away from the Tories. Ultimately, this now really sort of seals the deal that the Tories are going to lose the next general election. And of course, I think this signifies that they're going to lose in a very big way. Remember, that swing, even though Ben Houchen won, was about 26%. A 26% swing when you only need about 12 to 13% normally to win a MP seat at a general election is pretty huge. So a lot of worried Tory MPs over this weekend, and it's not going to take them too long to become really salty and worried about that. But don't worry, I'll find the best salt and bring it to you as well. So until then, as always, we'll see you all next time.